Wow, 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 bow. Dun, 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 bow, bow, bow. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Yikes. Yeah, you gotta be really careful with that. You gotta make. Yeah. Like I have an audio input and output capture, so the question is which one is it? Yeah. Because I was also thinking, couldn't I just capture a browser and then make that browser just be YouTube and then, you know, okay. Okay. So your stream's actually on? Okay. Ew. Yeah, I hear it, but yeah, I hate the song. Gross. Oh, that's Bruno Mars. I just heard some guy screaming. I was like, ugh. Oh well. Anyway, I just set up something. I don't know if it'll capture it, so I'm gonna play it. Right. That's what I tried first, and it didn't work. Oh, I see. So, because I'm using sources, that's how I make each scene. But that's what it should be anyway. Okay, this is currently with me using the browser capture, so hopefully it works. It's a really I have a whole soundtrack of Lord of the Rings music that was based on poems from Tolkien, not actually the songs from the movie. So it shouldn't be copyrighted, hopefully. That's fair. Fuck. No, 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 no. Skip all the text. Just get to the fucking song. Nothing. It's a bit delayed, remember. Hmm. Sure. Okay, I just added a window capture of the YouTube, so let me know if that is hearing it now on my stream. It's about to be loud part two. I use no, no, no. It's OBS 21.1.0. See, I tried Streamlabs and it wasn't working for me. Hmm. Okay. Weird. Let me see. Maybe I could try. I know. I just added a display capture. See if that got it instead. Like my whole display. Huh? Essentially, yeah. Hmm. Right. I just added it in just now. Wait, I think I might hear it. Try it, try it. Try listening to it. I'm going to mute it. I'm going to play the music again. Hmm. Why do I still hear it? Why do I still hear... The song is still playing in the background. What the fuck? Hold up. It shouldn't be. What the fuck? Like I still hear it in the background, even though I paused the music in the YouTube and I paused it. Like I muted my stream. What the fuck? Is there more than one browser open? What the hell? Hold on. Oh, weird. I added a browser capture and it straight up just plays the video in my OBS song, in my OBS. What the fuck? Well, I can hear the audio on my end, but it's not hearable in the stream. You're not. I can't see your screen because unless you open it, show me. Oh, you're showing me in Discord. Oh, okay. Desktop audio. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Well, I thought mine would be through my headset too, because normally it captures it, but for some reason it's not capturing it. So audio output capture?
Specifically, what's media sources? MP4, da, da, da. Oh, I mean, you could always download the music as like an MP3 and fucking have it on your computer.
Let me try this.
Playlist it that way.
I just tried it this way. I'm gonna see if that works. I did audio output capture.
Okay, let me hop back to your stream so I can find out. I hear music.
Where the long
Yeah, we got music.
Hey, I did it. Woo! So it is called on mine. It's called audio output capture. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, because I'm building Warhammer stuff, and I have. Well, you saw how many I have to build.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
it's
want
kinda-
you to spray paint them.
yeah, so it's kind of like I want to be able to do something while I'm doing that because it gets really tedious.
No, yeah.
There's a whole lot of just
Fucking
cutting and
cutting,
stuff.
moving, clicking, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, making sure you don't lose a single disc, otherwise you got to reorder a new pack. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you have that one extra.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Did you do the terrain on the bottom of those ones you got on the display capture? On the top right?
What? Oh, no, I didn't do those. That's just a picture I found pulled from Google's. The middle one's
Okay,
mine.
because I was like, damn.
No, I know. I wish I
I
could
didn't know
paint
you
that
did
good.
terraining.
Yeah.
Yeah, the terraining is always the most impressive shit when I see people do that.
It's actually really easy. I found out I could do it. All you
So,
got to do is go to the beach, get a jar of sand, then you coat the entire base with glue. Then you pretty much push the base into your bucket of sand, and then blow
that
away
makes
the
sense.
excess, and then it's good to go.
That makes sense.
And then you let it dry, and then you can repeat like that's for like a base coat, like if you're doing sand. But
Right.
if you want like a metal look, what people do is they get silver and just cover it in silver, and then they use
Red
black
silver bit.
again to highlight like panels and stuff.
That's cool.
I mean, like I know how to do it. It just takes more fucking time, and I don't really want.
No, yeah, fair enough.
Because it also, I always find it awkward when I do basing, and then like when I see guys who are based in a grassy field, but then they're on a metal table, I'm thinking, ugh, looks ugly.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather just have my guys be black, so that way the background kind of fades into like it's not something you look at essentially.
Yeah, I got what you mean.
Yeah.
I do feel like the guys that typically do terraining though are like, they've got a specific unit that they bring to different terrains.
Well, those, yeah, probably. Like, so I saw this one guy who has stuff where on his train. I'm gonna start building while I talk. I can just talk to you. I don't need music in hindsight anyway. If you're just gonna be here, I'm happy to talk about whatever.
I'm doing amiibo training right now.
Oh, cool.
On the Switch, I've got fucking I got Ryu and Robin from Fire Emblem.
Oh,
so
nice,
I've got
nice.
Ryu as training.
Cool.
Hopefully he'll be decent. Cause yeah. Also, yeah, I had an interesting development happen in my Gondor campaign that I was doing.
Oh, really?
Dol Amroth is just dead.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and not even like to Mordor. I was just kind of chilling in Dol Amroth's territory, or like I was chilling as Gondor. I wasn't at war with anyone. And then suddenly, like, I saw a lot of the Corsairs kind of in their area, and I was like, oh, what the fuck's going on there? So I toggled Fog of War off. And yeah, they were losing their last city, and I was like, oh shit.
Fuck.
And then, yeah, they just died, and I was like, oh, okay. Dol Amroth's just gone.
That's pretty depressing.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, fuck my head. Oh.
You okay, dude?
Yeah, headache still exists we're now on second week?
Well, shoot, that's not good, dude. I don't want you to be hurting.
Yeah, but I don't have medical.
Fuck.
So I'm just here.
Yeah.
So
I have a permanent schedule now, I think, in my work. So I can actually tell you my actual hours.
Yeah.
It's going to be 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Not bad at all. That leaves Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays perfectly open, and even later in the day. When does your wife work?
Unfortunately, she does work 8 to 5.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Man.
But she makes 19 an hour, so.
True. Is she getting hazard pay?
Probably, I don't know.
One of my old coworkers actually just put up for she started a petition specifically for Fred Meyer's employees to start getting hazard pay because they haven't been getting it. There's been no compensation other than your regular pay for Fred Meyer workers during all this.
Right.
And so she started a petition on Facebook that's up to like 15,000 signatures.
Oh my god. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because like I know a lot of obviously from working it, I know the people who work there and they bust their ass.
Right.
And I also know how fucking harsh Kroger can be when it comes to like calling out sick, even with medical, with actual medical emergencies. Because I actually had a friend who was fired from Fred Meyer's. So she got sick. So she has a really weak immune system. And she got sick for about a week. She had what is that called? Bronchitis. That's what it was. I couldn't think of it. I almost said laryngitis, but that's the wrong one. She got bronchitis. And yeah, she was out for like a week, and it could have been much worse, but luckily she actually recovered way faster than she normally does.
Mm-hmm.
And she had, signature from her doctor and everything, and came back to work, and then unfortunately caught a cold not too long after.
That's not good.
Yeah, and so she, had to take more time off, where she was like, okay, I can't, I'm sick, and she called out for about 3 days, and then tried to come into work on her 4th day, and they sent her home for being sick, because they're like, no, you're too sick to work, you gotta go home.
Right.
So she goes home, and then the next time she came into work, they were like, hey, they want to talk to you up in the office, and she goes to the office, and they fired her.
What?
Yep. And they were like, well, I mean, you missed your 7 days, because, so this is, now that I don't work there, I don't have to be as, muted about a lot of their, policies.
Right.
So, have fun with this, Kroger.
It's not like Kroger's listening.
You would be amazed. Literally, one of the things, when you first get hired there, by the way, they will tell you they want you on anything you do social media-wise. Anything. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook, your YouTube, Twitch, doesn't matter. If you do anything that is seen by the public, they want you to a full paragraph essentially saying that these views are my own, they're not the views of the Kroger Corporation or Fred Meyer subsidiary. Like, they have like a whole thing that they want you to put on every single like Twitter post, on everything while you're employed there. And even when I got hired, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. If somebody asks, I'll tell them that, but like, no. One, if I ever tweet, like, I don't even tweet things, but that would be like an entire Twitter message. Like,
that is your Twitter message. Yeah, you don't even. It's like you say a letter, and then they're like, Kroger.
Yeah. Oh. A Kroger? Okay. I don't know what that means. Yeah. So like, they're super butthurt and very like touchy, and they are like the epitome of
Wait, I need
really
paper. Hold on, sorry. I need paper towel.
Go ahead.
I just realized because I'm about to glue and
oh yeah,
have a nice
definitely
table.
Want paper towel.
Yeah, one moment.
Yeah, all good. I just realized I am not capturing my game.
Okay, yeah, continue. Sorry.
I just realized I almost wasn't capturing my game. So I was almost just playing and people weren't doing nothing. That's
not good.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, one of the things that they're so I'm sure you've maybe heard about left, right, and center, where companies are they fire people for their social media presence. Essentially,
that's so stupid, but yeah, I've seen
where somebody does something on social media, even if it's not offensive or anything, but maybe somebody has a side job that is like a my OnlyFans type thing. And then their company fires them because they're like, well, it's not really our image we want to put forward as our employees, but it's like, but you're not. That's a human being doing their own thing.
Right.
And it's not like they're doing it at work. Like, granted, if you work at a Fred Meyer's doing stuff in the back while you're on shift, then they can be mad. That's fine. But if you're doing it in your off time, fuck off.
Yeah, like if you posted like a mean post about them at work,
yeah.
I mean, then yeah, for sure, they have every right to do something.
Yeah, but when it's in your free time, fuck off. Right. And Kroger is absolutely one of those companies that's like, don't have any sort of racy photos on your Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
I'd be curious to know how Republican they are, though, too. You know how conservative they are.
I don't know.
Well, no,
probably very.
In more because Panera is very Republican, and that's why they're very because they're a Christian company.
Yeah.
And so they have a little more limiting than say when at my hospital, where they're kind of more private institution.
Yeah.
We can kind of get away with more stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I think it's definitely Kroger is more that way.
Gross. Yeah.
Because Kroger bought out Fred Meyers, and I know from talking to people who worked at Fred Meyers previously, when the actual guy, Fred Meyer, was alive,
Sure.
that he was way more lax with stuff. Like, he was way more, you are your own person, just make sure you're actually working when you're here.
Cool.
But once he passed and Kroger purchased Fred Meyers, which, by the way, full credit to the actual Fred Meyer, he died at 97 working in store.
Holy shit! Did he like die
Yeah.
in the store?
Yeah, he was rich enough to have retired long before that, and he kept working until the day he died.
Gross.
He legitimately, and like not like out of like being mean or like you never stop working, but he was like just genuinely a nice guy and felt that if you were in management, you could never know what was wrong with your store if you were never working.
Well, that's not wrong. It's just
Yeah, he
bit
was a real
extreme for me, though. I mean, you know, I want to spend my fuck. I wouldn't want to like die not having retired and got to be with my family. You know.
Oh no, yeah, it's definitely
It's a bit much
to
for
each his
me.
own type thing.
Yeah.
But it was definitely something that he was very passionate about. I mean, like the guy himself was pretty incredible. He actually, the way he started Fred Meyers was he actually back in, I feel like it was, I think they said the 20s. There was like marketplaces.
Right.
Where there's a bunch of different little stall stores, and all of them had their own niche thing that they did.
Mm-hmm.
One would sell you bread, one would sell you, food, like vegetables, one would sell you fruit, one would sell you clothes, and that kind of thing. And essentially,
Oh, sorry. I tried to show off my how I glue things, and then he just came apart. So now I gotta refucking. I'm not gonna do that anymore, guys. Sorry. I was trying to show you the process, but no.
got a little too cocky. And
no, I'm just gonna fucking glue it. Sorry, you don't get to watch.
But yeah, fucking so essentially he just realized like, hey, why make people go to a bunch of different stalls when I could just sell a little bit of everything?
Right.
And when he first started doing it, a lot of the other people were like, that'll never work, you don't have, it's not as good as our individual stalls. Right. So why would anyone ever come to your stall that has a little bit of all of our stalls? And then he started putting them all out of business.
Right, because he's like, bro, it's more convenient to shop at one place than everywhere else.
Yeah. And so suddenly he is rapidly taking over the entire marketplace. Literally to the point where people are selling him their businesses.
Fuck.
And then he's using their stalls as an addition onto his store. And suddenly he just had the whole thing. And had bought out all of his competitors and just was the marketplace.
Okay, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit! And yeah, so literally just from the day he started, man, just non-stop. So he was great, and yeah, literally, just from your interview, or orientation day, they have this whole video about, you can tell when Kroger bought it, because it's, shows you the opening video, and it's a good, 30 minutes, hey, here's the history of Fred Meyers, here's how we care about our customers, and want to give them the easiest experience, so that when they come to Fred Meyers, they can get whatever they want, find it all here, and go right or off to wherever they need to go and not have to worry about driving around, make sure that we're giving them the top quality of everything that we can, essentially not only make it an easy experience and a convenient one, but the best one. And then you can tell when Kroger purchased it, because halfway through the video the flops and is like, welcome to the Kroger family. In Kroger, we're all about efficiency.
Oh, fuck.
Make sure you come to work on time. Make sure you are doing every single thing perfectly on time. If you don't think you're going to get the job done on time, make sure to buckle down and double your efforts and make sure you get all of your work done before you leave. Make sure you clock out within the 5-minute window you have to clock in and out at the beginning and end of your day. Suddenly there's this very hard swap from this one guy who conquered the marketplace to this corporation of cold steel that has purchased his company after he died. And oh no.
You're like, we paid a fuck ton of money for this company, now we're gonna get it all back today.
Yeah, pretty much. And you're like, oh shit. And like that's your orientation. That's your first day.
Ugh.
And then and even like on my first orientation day, it was like, is there like a little bit of saltiness between like Fred Meyer's employees and Kroger? Because it feels like it.
A
And
takeover, yeah.
our HR person was like, no, we're all one big family. And then on my first day, I asked some of the guys that had been working there since Fred Meyer's got bought out, and they were like, yeah, anyone who worked for Fred Meyer's beforehand, even if they're like higher up, hates the fact that we were purchased by Kroger because they don't understand what Fred Meyer's is. And apparently this is due to so a lot of the actual Kroger stores are way back east.
Okay.
And back east, the Kroger stores are nothing like Fred Meyer's here. They're more like Walmarts. You know, like you walk into a Walmart and almost every Walmart has the exact same lineup.
Sure.
Like layout. You walk into a Walmart, you know where everything is because it's in the same place. Right? And they're always going to have the same stuff. They're always going to have the same, pretty much everything. They're just carbon copies of each other. Well, Fred Meyer's doesn't have that, or at least it didn't. Every Fred Meyer's was different. Every Fred Meyer's sold a variation of different things. So if you were in an area that was easier to get fresh corn or fresh strawberries or that kind of thing, you would see more of those on your in your produce department. If it was cheaper for them to get certain types of clothes, but that were good quality, you would see more of those in their store. And so there was more variation from Fred Meyer's to Fred Meyer's because they were individual, essentially like individual marketplaces all shoved into one building. And when Kroger purchased them, they didn't understand that idea. And so they started to try and rapidly remodel all the different Fred Meyer's to make them all look exactly alike. And all have the exact same layout, and all have the exact same products at the exact same time, no matter what state they were in, where they were in each state. And so, it's never worked. It's actually, it's hurt Fred Meyer's business more than it's ever helped. Because what happens is a lot of the people that were shopping at Fred Meyer's for years started to suddenly come into a Fred Meyer's that they had shopped at for 20 years, and the entire store layout's different.
Fuck.
And ironically, by trying to make it to where you will know where everything is, every single Fred Meyer's the second you walk in, they made it harder for people to know where stuff is in every Fred Meyer's. Because people were already going to Fred Meyer's. Fred Meyer's was already competing with the Giants area.
Yeah, they're competing with Safeway and Target and Walmart.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden when Kroger bought them and started changing things, it actually made it harder for them to compete. Because it was like, suddenly, you lose all the charm of this being a company, clearly, family-owned company, and you can see it turn into just another carbon copy paste.
Right. Fuck.
And so yeah, it's weird because from our Kroger, because there's still rules in place from when the Fred Meyer's era existed.
Right.
But then you'll have an immediate contradictory rule from the Kroger era, which is for instance, in sick days. An old Fred Meyer's rule: if you're sick, do not come to work. If if your stomach hurts or your bowels aren't doing well, if you feel like if you come to work you won't be able to perform at your peak, don't come in. Take the day, recover, come in when you're ready. That's an old Fred Meyer's rule.
Those are ruled the hospital too, yeah.
Kroger has, if you fucking miss more than 7 days in a year, we're going to fire you.
A whole year?
Yep. If you have 7 unexcused absences in a year, meaning if you are out of sick time, which, mind you, you get 1 hour of sick time for every 40-hour week you do.
Ew.
Yeah. So if you are ever out of sick time or don't have enough sick time to cover a day off, it's considered an unexcused absence, and if you have 7 of those in a year, you are fired.
That's so fucked.
Yep. And that's any department. That's not oh, hey, just for the guys that make really good money, freight crew. No, that's anyone. You work in ClickList, you work in apparel, you work anywhere, that's it. 7 days, you're fucked. And it's like, that's not how humans work.
Right.
Like, and they're like, well, that's the average. For who? The fucking robots you employ? Like, that the 7-day maintenance they need? Like, fucking
like, when the fuck
shit,
did
man.
we get taken over by robots? What the fuck?
Yeah, and so, like, they're brutal. They give zero shits. And they're really, I almost want to say just anti-human.
Well, that's a bit harsh. I mean, I don't think
No,
they're literally anti-human.
No, like, I'll explain why. Because legitimately, if there is any sort of, like, thing, so, like, if a human being comes to you and explains to you their situation of why they can't make it, like, say, for instance, their family member, a close family member died.
Okay, fair enough.
And
go home and
I lost a family member. We have to fly out to a state. We have to, get the, body. We have to get back. We have to bury it. It's a whole process. I just need about like this week to deal with it. Now, from a boss standpoint, what would you expect a boss?
well,
okay, well,
depends how much of an asshole they are, but presumably they would let you go. I mean,
yeah, something like, okay, well,
they probably expect you to like
we'll
make
get
up
it
the
covered,
hours.
or
I mean, that's normal.
something like that. Like, we'll have you work a little bit more when you get back, or can you try and cover some of the shifts? And even that would be kind of a
like,
dick
can you work
thing
extra
to say.
now in order to
to make up for it. But no, Providers goes, oh, well, when did you need to go? Like today. Okay, well, you need to sign an entire FMLA paperwork to request the. And then you have to wait for it to get approved. And then once it's approved, they may only approve a part of the actual time you requested. So say you requested a week, if it gets sent in, they will then look at how many hours you average and decide, one, whether or not you enough for them to care.
Fuck.
And two, even if you do, how many days they could care for.
What the
So say you
hell?
requested a week, and if you only work like an average of 30 hours a week, they might go, I guess we would care for like 2 days. And so they'll grant your leave, but if you don't read your paperwork correctly, that paperwork will say, you've been granted 2 days of leave. And then if you're gone for the other 5 days, you'll come back and they'll fire you. Because you had you had a no-call, no-show. Which, by the way, a no-call, no-show at any point, fire.
Wow.
Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter if your phone doesn't work. Doesn't matter if you were stranded in the desert. No call, no show at any time.
You're car accident. I mean, like there are things
doesn't
that
matter.
happen. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Like at
and
my
you
work,
have
you
to
need
be the
do
one
a
to call.
no show 3 times.
One. You no call, no show once, and you are fired. Or if they like you, you'll get a fucking 2-week suspension without pay. And then if it happens again, you'll be fired. And mind you, even if you bring in later, like, hey, I got in an accident and I was, out for 3 days. That's why I no call, no showed for 3 days. With my medical notes, they'll go, yeah, that's great and all, but we didn't have any, information at that time. So we've already marked you for 3 no call, no shows, and you've already.
What the fuck?
Yep. And so here's the fucking hilarious thing, is that the whole time this is happening, you're part of the union.
Right.
And the union is supposed to balance this out.
Right. They're supposed to fight for you and be like, hey, look, maybe we're not necessarily going to make you change your policy, but we want you to make an exception because this dude got like in a car accident or something. Right.
Like the union's supposed to be like, hey, jackass, no. Like, you're not going to do that to this guy. Fuck you. That's really fucked. You're going to, like, that's stupid. No, let him work. He brought you the medical paperwork. Knock it off. Now, let's say your union's good. Say that they are great people that bust their ass. They do their job well. Let's say you get fired for those 3 days you had an unacceptable. Right. Then you go to your union on Monday, because let's say it happened on a Friday, so they're closed. So you have to wait till Monday, then you go in on Monday. Here's what happened, here's all this, and they fired me. Then the union will go, okay, we'll get back to you.
And they never get
And
back
then
to
the
you.
union will work on it for about 1 to 2 weeks and decide whether or not your case is worth their time.
Okay.
And then when the union decides whether or not if the union decides it's not worth their time, mind you, there's no like option to be in the union or not. Like you can't choose like, oh, I don't really want to be. You have to be in the union, or you can't work at Fred Meyer's. Also, they take money out of your paycheck every fucking paycheck.
Really?
And quite a bit. In fact, I've lost more money to the union than I have fucking taxes.
What?
Yeah, they take quite a huge chunk of your payment, and it's your union due. Now, the point of this money is supposed to be that if a company is ever treating you poorly, the union can then use that money to put everyone on strike and keep your pay the same as it was when you were working while you're on strike.
Mm-hmm.
Our union was embezzling money for the last 10 years.
Okay, well that's a unique situation, though. I mean,
Right.
it's not as
So
if
that was
anyone's
kind of
looking
an
at that being
unfortunate
like,
thing
oh,
for
that's
us.
normal. Right.
But that's where you would think, like, okay, maybe it's just your union that sucked. However, it's different for each store, because it's each area. One of the other unions, out in, I think it was Sumner or Fed, I don't remember which, essentially, they weren't embezzling, but they were doing the opposite of, they just weren't ever fighting for anyone.
What?
They would just take your money, and then if you got fired for even a bullshit reason, and then went to the union and was like, hey, I got fired for this really bullshit reason, I would like to get my job back. And, like, that's all you're asking. You're not asking, like, you know, payment for time lost or anything like that. You just want your job back.
Right.
They would go, okay, well, we'll look at it, and then 2 weeks later go, no, we're denying your request to even
What?
try to get your job back.
What?
We're not even going to negotiate. You're not worth it.
Not worth it. What the fuck is the point of the union then?
Yup. It's because essentially, so the whole point of the union is that they're supposed to be making, they make work better for everyone who works there, and that they negotiate on the behalf of the employee.
Right.
However, the union also negotiates with the company.
Sure.
And it's my understanding from a few people I've talked to in the union, I'm not going to name names, from what I understand. Quite sure.
You're cutting out a bit. We might want to switch to Steam.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick. Actually, yeah. Why don't we just switch to Steam real quick so I can hear you? Yeah, okay.
I also had my screen share still on.
Oh. Okay, guys, he's going to call us in Steam. And we're going to keep working on these scouts. So check it out. We're just waiting for glue to dry, essentially, right now. Nothing too horrible. I mean, scouts are fairly easy to build. Fairly.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, welcome back. But yeah, essentially we found out, or from what I found out was, a lot of times, so the union will negotiate with the company on the employees' behalfs, whether this is to get them pay raises, to get them better benefits, that kind of thing. But what would happen a lot of the time is the union would go in to closed-door meetings with the company,
right,
and go, hey, so the employees of your company want more sick hours, or they want just a better accumulation rate of sick hours, or they want, hazard pay, or they want this, or they want that.
Whatever they want, yeah, depending on the group of people.
And the company would go, oh, we don't really want to give that to them. So how about we pay you a sum of money as the negotiator, and agree that it's better for the employees to have this completely different deal. It is to my understanding that this is what happened about 6 years ago now, to the union I was previously in which they sat down and Kroger was able to convince, air quotes, essentially pay off the union, saying, hey, wouldn't it be better if instead of a pension, that they would get when they retire for the rest of their lives after working, a certain amount of years with us. If the employees just got like 5 more cents in their everyday pay, and and the union went, well, that's a nice stack of cash, so I guess, and signed off on it. So suddenly, like when I started, I was informed that people who had started before me, say, you worked there for 20 years, you have to work there for a grand total of your age plus your work experience adding up to 65. Okay?
Okay.
Now, mind you, with a minimum amount of 20 years work. So if you start working there at 50, work there for 14 years, you don't get your pension. But it has to add up to 65 with a minimum of 20 years working. Then you would get paid 1/10 of your pay.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. That's not how pensions work. At least not in the school
because
district.
Their pension got changed in an even further back negotiation. Essentially, for the last however long that Kroger's been in charge, Kroger has been just kind of bribing unions to keep agreeing to really shitty deals.
Because they're tricky, like they're tricking them, or the union is being.
No, they're outright bribing them. Like they're like, here's a $10 million donation to the union.
Quote air quotes.
Yeah,
right. Not really the union, but
yeah. To your specific branch of the union.
Sure.
In exchange, or that's just completely side, but also, here's this thing we have planned where it would force our workers to work twice as long before getting benefits, twice as hard, and have half as much time to recover or to call out if they started to be run ragged. And the union would go, yeah, you know what? That seems like a fair deal. I'm totally not being influenced by this donation that you gave us. Or that, one of your employees from corporate gave us out of his personal pocket.
Well, shit.
A week before negotiations or during negotiations.
Yeah. That's pretty,
defeating the point of a union.
Yeah, it's not really much of a union. I was about to say, it's not really a union, though, at that point, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of what's happening across the multiple states. Is that everywhere Kroger's been buying, like, QFCs, Fred Meyers, and stuff, Kroger is getting this reputation throughout multiple unions that this is how they do business. Kroger is the Disney of the food industry.
Oh, guys, I think I fucked up. So this is an important lesson. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So the way that this kit is set up says that I'm supposed to be able to customize them however I want, like put any body on any legs, essentially. You know what I mean? But I found out that if you do have the shoulder pad, no, wait a minute, where the fuck are their shoulder pads? Wait, am I missing a? Did I mix it up? Wait. They're supposed to be shoulder pad kit. Wait. Well, I mean, I have extra. I actually have extra.
Yeah, I mean, you had a bunch of.
No, well, because I even have a shoulder pad. No, I even got a special Blood Angels shoulder pad kit.
Ooh.
But the thing is, I'm trying to make 5 snipers, right? Because there's an option to have a missile launcher instead of one of them being a sniper, and I've organized every group of kits into their respective things. Like I kept them separate.
Right, sniper, assault, whatever.
Right, so that way they're all no, not the snipers, but I have a tactical marine squad and I also have an intercessor squad. I'm building different kits.
Oh yeah.
So I did that, and I'm realizing the shoulder pads that are supposed to be in the kit are not in the kit.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, I mean I have extra shoulder pads, but I'm also curious if I missed a part of the kit. Like if actually just straight up didn't organize it correctly, and there's some sprues that are meant to be for one kit, they're actually for another kit. And I don't think so. But honestly, I'm not sure at this point.
I mean, all I know is you had a lot of those kits splayed across the
No,
canvas.
And I kept them organized, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They are organized. But there's no shoulder pads for the scouts on
Oh.
the thing. Like I'm looking, like as far as I know, there were 2 sprues. I can even check. You know what? I'm gonna go back and check my stream, and I'm gonna go see when I was opening up those
Yeah.
kits how many there were.
Oh, there you go.
Because I can do that. Because I'm a genius who records everything and has like no life. So let's go ahead and
Check your own stream.
I'm gonna look at my own stream. Oh god, how long ago was it though? What the fuck were we doing?
We've been doing a lot of stuff for a while.
I know, that's why I'm concerned. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Oh, it was that one. Ah, found it. Okay. So I'm gonna watch it, please. I'm gonna continue.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
essentially all that just to say, Kroger sucks.
Oh, okay.
The company itself is just really shady, and I don't like them. And after working for them, like, I will not lie, they do show a outside appearance of a lot of really good deals. It's kind of like the devil offering you a golden apple. You know? Like, it's like, here's this apple. It's fucking going to make you immortal. And then you take a bite of it, and you're immortal, but you lose a part of your body every day that you're alive. And then once you lose everything, you just map back together and have to feel it all over again. Like, that's kind of what Kroger is. It's like, here, you'll get paid $21.50, but you'll never be allowed to call out sick again. You'll be called lazy if it's not all done within 5 hours, the amount of work that should be done by about 12 people, done by about 4. And if you ever complain, we'll start to essentially cut your hours.
Ugh.
Yeah. But you're getting paid well.
Right, but that doesn't mean much if you're getting fucked. I mean...
Right, and that's essentially my entire experience of working at Kroger in a nutshell.
Okay, guys, so this is the sad part about building. Sometimes you have to rip apart guys in order to put them together, but they'll be fine. That's my point.
I promise they will be fine.
No, like, actually, like, I have... Like, when you put in the wrong body part, like, you can fix it. I'm saying that because, like, it looks disgusting and looks like I totally fucked up the model, but I haven't. That's what paint's for. You're fine.
It's fine. I'll fix it. It'll be fine.
Like, I'm serious. Like, it is fine.
No, I know.
Okay, I'm looking at the box now. That's why the stream might be a little boring. I'm looking at my own stream. Okay, I'm pulling out my knife.
I'm doing testing.
Cool. Wait, like for school?
No.
You said testing.
I left a long time ago. I'm a very old man.
You know, I just realized I don't know much about your life in school.
It wasn't that fun. Go figure.
Well, I didn't think of you as much of a school type, but you know, you went there, so.
I did.
You never tell stories about school at all.
Okay, yeah, we'll do some school stories.
Yeah, and we'll spell it wrong. S-K-O-L.
S-K-O-L. Yeah, S-K-O-L-E-E.
Yeah.
School. Oh, fuck.
Because that's what school taught you.
Yeah, God, I fucking wish. Yeah, so I started out homeschooled when I was in pre-K, which you would think like, okay, yeah, well, most kids are, schooled at home. Fucking. Sorry, my brain is fried. So, yeah, most kids start out, obviously, at home with fucking, like, pre-K. Not a lot of kids go to pre-K, And if you do, it's, different. You just get a heads up. But my mom, ironically, she did want us to do schooling before schooling. So she would do a lot of what we found out later was actually like stuff that should have been for older kids.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like, here, do, this math problem. But in reality, the math problem was something that should have been done by, like, a first grader, and
Oh.
I'm 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why bother? Whatever. Okay. So
Yeah.
you did
Essentially
it.
because it was the early 90s, and she was, or late 90s, early 2000s, and she was trying to figure out, like, she wasn't good at using the internet yet, so she was very like, okay, well, this says at-home schooling, so this must mean it's okay for a 4-year-old to do. And then she would get mad if we couldn't figure it out. Because, of course. Yeah,
But
I told you it wasn't fun.
If it's not at your age level, then
Right.
it wouldn't.
She's
like,
not
obviously
the
you
brightest
wouldn't
one.
get it. Like that's how. That's why we have different grade levels to begin with, because there's
Right.
content for different ages, because not everyone understands things in the right order. And
Exactly. But obviously she wasn't the bright one. So anyway, so that was my like school life up until kindergarten, and then my mom got a church at the or got a job at the church.
she got a church at the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a church at the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. What, you don't get a church at the job? Fucking shit. It's proof of my schooling. No, so I got my mom got a job at the church, and I almost said it again because I fucked up. And she started working there, and they were like, "Hey, did you know we have a school?" And she was like, "No, that's great, and I can take my kids there." And they're like, "Sure, if you can afford it." And she was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Oh, it's expensive as fuck."
She didn't go to a public school?
No, I never went to public school.
Oh.
I went straight from homeschool into their Christian private school.
Rexy. Hey.
Oh, puppy!
Rexy, stop barking. Get over here. There's no one at the door. I didn't hear a knock. Get over here. No reason to be barking. Come on. Thank you. Go to your bed.
Oh, puppy.
Go to your bed. There you go. Anyway.
But yeah, so yeah, I went straight into a private Christian school, and then in my private Christian school, essentially what they would tell people is, hey, our private Christian school is actually 2 grades above the rest of the schooling.
Okay.
Essentially, so if your kid's in 1st grade, they're learning shit that's 3rd grade level in 1st grade.
Wait, what?
Yeah. This was kind of their like way of enticing parents into getting it, because it was the idea of kids can learn anything if they're just trying hard enough.
That's true, but only at a certain point. I mean, like, you can skip grades, but you can't skip that far. I mean,
right.
Like,
so
I
imagine
skipped
going
a grade
from
once, but that doesn't mean I could do it again and again. I mean,
well, I got held back a grade and then skipped a grade, but we'll get to that.
Well, I did 2 years of preschool, so I mean,
fair.
What does that say about me? I did 2 years of preschool before I even got to normal school.
No, that's a good thing. That means you got some extra time to learn. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do at-home school for the kids, but I'm trying to keep it easy, right. So it's not
don't fucking
fuckery.
Don't ruin them.
Yeah, like we're just doing like the letters, what they sound like, and like basic here's what numbers are, and how the value actually works, but nothing like here, learn your times tables. Which I know there's some parent out there that's like, well, my kid knows just times tables and he's 3, and it's like, yeah, and I'm sure your kid will hate math in the future.
Right.
But
it's like, good for you.
Yeah, great, well done. As your kid fucking horribly laments fucking ever learning math. But yeah, so fucking anyways, sorry, I got completely off topic. So yeah, so my mom got this job, and they were like, yeah, it's like a grand. I think at the beginning it was like $1,400 a month.
Not much.
To put me and my sister into this school.
It's actually pretty cheap for private school.
No, that was with her discount. That was with her employee discount. which according to them takes off 50%.
Oh, wait, what the fuck? That's expensive.
Yes.
Then, yeah, because you
And-
got that discount. Like, fuck.
Yeah, well, and
Worth it with-
remember that I grew up very poor.
I know you're poor.
That's one of the reasons why, is because any money that wasn't going to my schooling from my mom was going to feed my mother, while me and my sister starved most of the time.
Hey, I mean,
Um,
Mama Bear gets first dibs, right?
Apparently.
No, everyone, that's a joke.
Cubs
We're
can
not
figure
serious.
it the
Calm
fuck
down.
out.
Calm down. That's not what we think. Just calm down.
We have dark sense of humor, and we've gone through things.
Well, also, I'm
Yes.
not an asshole. I'm a good friend. Calm down.
Yeah,
You know,
it's all good.
I don't
I
think
like
of
the
him
dark
as,
humor.
you know,
In
yeah.
case anyone is confused.
Sure, sure. Blame it on the American humor.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's very like, yeah, that was just kind of our life for a while. And then, so I went to kindergarten, was my first year, so K5,
Right.
5 years old. And I went in, and I had a very sweet teacher. I don't know if she was, I think it was Dr. Beale. I think that was her name.
Okay.
I don't remember if it was Mrs. or Doctor. We had a lot of doctors. Mind you, they weren't like health professional doctors. They were like, I got a doctorate in psychology, but barely, and I also disagree with a lot of it because my old book says a lot of different things from it.
Yeah. Well, education up. I mean, no one's ever really
Yeah.
up to date with that stuff anyway. I wouldn't. I personally,
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
worried
like-
about that. Yeah.
But yeah, just because you'll hear a lot of like doctor across the course of my schooling.
Hmm.
Just know that a lot of that doctorate was like, from the early 80s, late 70s.
Hmm.
And none of them went to get, keep up on it.
Okay. Sure.
And so she was very sweet, though. She was a very good teacher. She taught me how to write in cursive. She
Good.
taught me how to read, how to write, and I was really good in kindergarten. I got straight A's. I was a really good kid.
You had A's in kindergarten.
I did,
I
because
didn't.
we were actually graded.
I didn't get A's
um,
until like 4th grade.
Oh no, we got grades, and they were harsh. But we will get there. That's first grade.
What the fuck? Wait, what?
Yeah.
I got
Shit was
harsh in
fun.
1st grade. That's when I was like learning how to build gingerbread houses and color and shit. Like,
Yeah, we
stuff.
didn't get that. In kindergarten, mind you, the grade I liked, we didn't have project time. Like, we didn't have fun play with color crown time. That wasn't a thing.
Well, the
we
whole point of
literally had-
kindergarten is helping you socialize with other kids some more. Like that's
Yeah,
what
that's
preschool is.
not what their kindergarten was.
What the fuck?
Their
would you do
kindergarten
then?
was preschool, as in more school before school. Because you got to remember that their first grade was technically 3rd grade. So in kindergarten, you're learning 2nd grade.
Did they? Whatever.
So we
that's
were
too
learning-
Stupid. I mean, even I
We
can't.
were learning cursive,
Fathom that.
reading, writing, arithmetic, plus and minus, and the beginning of our times tables.
I don't normally say this, but about people who are being this negligent. But if it did work, that would be genius. I mean, just for the record, I
right?
mean, if they really were able to somehow, beat all logic and just straight up, like teach you guys,
I mean, granted,
be
there
cool,
are
but-
plenty of brilliant kids that came out of my class
right.
that did learn very well in that
really?
environment.
Okay. So it wasn't.
There was just a lot of them who didn't.
Oh. Well.
Like there was a lot more that didn't or struggled with a lot of crisis, like self-doubt crisis,
Oh boy.
for a lot of their lives because of it. So the trade-off is moot, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, some people became brilliant, and some people just hated themselves.
And you hate yourself?
Yeah. We'll get there.
Dude, it's not like anyone's listening to
kindergarten-
these streams. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, kindergarten was good. It was great. Got to 1st grade.
Mhm.
Didn't do as well. Obviously, 1st grade, I'm about 6 years old. We had just lost our house because my mom had stopped taking advantage of my granny. My granny made a ton of money through her dead husband's pension through the government. Because he served in World War II, he served in Vietnam, he was a postman forever. So he had essentially so many government jobs stacked up that he got pensions from, that even when he died, Granny was the only one that could collect any of it, even after he died. But she got just a fuck ton of money. She was the only reason we had an actual house. Because again, we were broke. And then that was really where the broke set in. Because once my granny was gone and she went to live with my parents because she was starting to get senile because she was old, and my mom didn't want to deal with her anymore and decided the money wasn't worth it, she gave my granny to my grandparents and was like, "Here, you figure it out." Okay. And we moved into Stonehaven Apartments.
Kind of weird choices here, but okay.
Yeah. By the way, if anyone has ever lived in Federal Way, it's the apartments across from the Fred Meyers, the really ghetto one.
Hey, I know those apartments.
Yeah. Those used to be called Stonehaven. And dear God, they suck.
Oh, yeah.
They're nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
I think it was in fucking 3rd grade when we had the guy outside covered in blood shouting to the heavens, just walking down the road. In the apartments. You gotta love Federal Way.
Ooh, if you oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead. So then we get to 1st grade, and I didn't do nearly as well. We had lost our house. I was really struggling in school because I didn't have my granny at home anymore, who would normally help me with a lot of my schooling. And it was a hard time for me. Also, without my granny around, my mom had to parent. Now, granted, my granny wasn't exactly the best parent. She, had my grandma when she was 20, in the 20s, and she was a very absent parent. But for me and my sister, she was pretty good. She didn't understand a lot of things, and she was a tad bit racist because she was old.
Well,
she wasn't trying to be racist, but she would say things she would see a black mom and kid walking on the street. She'd be like, "Oh, look at those colored people," and you'd be like, "Granny, you're not allowed to say that anymore. That's offensive." And she's like, "Why?"
What?
And I didn't know it was offensive until I said it, and somebody looked at me funny, and I was like, "What?" And somebody explained, "You don't say that," and I was like, "Oh, my bad." My granny from the 20s told me.
Yeah, it's like, whoops.
Yeah, and she was a very sweet lady. She never meant anything ill by it. She just, that was the era she grew up in. And she was always very kind to people of any race. She wasn't, it wasn't like she was like, "Oh, damn those." No, she was very "Oh, they're very sweet. I like them. I never got why people don't like them." And you're like, most of the time people do like them now, by the way.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, that's good. I always thought people should like them." And you're like, okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Kind of a weird. I mean, everyone has racist grandparents probably at some point. It's not like I'd be surprised to hear it. I mean, my grandpa.
I just loved
today,
her.
He'll still say, "Oh, those Asian people over there." They, I'd be like, "Why are you talking about them like that?"
Yeah,
just
over there.
Right, well, no, the fact you don't even need to mention their race. You could just say those two men standing there. You don't need to.
Right, just specifically those two Asian men over there. It's like, oh, I hope this ties in at some point.
Right, because I'm thinking
now I'm
intrigued. No, my grandpa still says racist shit, even not intentionally, but
yeah, it's just it being old. You literally live your entire life with it. It's hard to change.
Yeah.
And so that happened. No.
Right. So then he got married.
Right. No. So after my granny got kicked out of the house, and I went into 1st grade. 1st grade just sucked. Just entirely, always. I wasn't doing well. Huh?
That's not what most people say about 1st grade.
I know, because most people didn't have my 1st grade. Suddenly we were expected to be really good at everything. We were graded really harshly. If you misspelled your name, that was automatic F.
I mean,
which again, I had only learned how to spell in kindergarten.
Yeah,
Like-
spelling's. I mean, I think that starts to get covered in first grade, but you don't get graded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you do get spelling training in first grade, from what I remember.
Right.
But you didn't get judged like that.
Yeah, we got fucking Fs. Like,
Hell.
and you failed. And then you would have to tell the rest of the class that you failed.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, so if at any point you failed a test, or you failed whatever, you failed a quiz, or you just got a question wrong, you were required to tell the rest of the class not only that you had failed, but what you had failed.
What?
Yeah, this was supposedly the idea behind this was so that you would tell the rest of the class, "Hey, I got a 34F. These are the things I failed," and the idea was that the other kids would then go, "Cool, let's help you learn what like let me help explain how I got it." In practice, that's never what happened because kids are evil, and kids go, "You're a fucking moron, ha 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 ha."
Yeah. Duh.
And you as a child go, "I hate you all,
Mhm.
and this is America." That's an even darker joke if you get it. So anyways, so yeah, it didn't go well. I did like my teacher just because she was decently nice, but she was just kind of doing what the school told her to do.
Mhm.
And then second grade was where the nightmare began.
That wasn't the nightmare?
No, second grade was the nightmare.
Oh my god.
So second grade, we had Dr. Best.
Okay.
This woman, I legitimately can tell you right now, if anyone who went to school with me right now heard me say the words Dr. Best, there would literally be this exact reaction. Oh, fuck that bitch.
Wait.
To this
what?
day.
Holy
Yes. Yeah. To this day, that would be the exact reaction you would get out of anyone who went to school with me.
shit. Wow.
As adults. Because this woman was Satan wearing an old lady suit. She legitimately, so she was a teacher in second grade. You would expect a second grade teacher to be very kind, very patient.
Most elementary school teachers, except for fifth grade, are pretty kind.
Right,
Fifth grade, that's when most kids actually start being assholes. But before then, usually,
right.
You can be kind and the kids won't eat you alive, generally.
So in first, I forgot to mention, in first grade, we got added an additional class that no other school had. Or at least no public school would ever have.
What class?
We were given Bible class.
Well, yeah, that's a private school thing only, pretty much.
Yes.
Like I've never
This
heard
meant
of a
that every day at 8 a.m. you had to do Bible, which meant memorizing an entire scripture,
Okay.
being able to write it back,
How long's
and tell the meaning of the scripture.
For those who don't know, how long's a scripture?
It depends, throughout the Bible.
Like, what's the
Some can be
smallest?
a sentence long.
Oh.
The smallest is 2 words. He wept.
That's a whole fucking.
That is the entire scripture verse.
Weird.
He wept. Yep. It's referring to Jesus crying on Mount Galilee right before he's about to be crucified because he knows it's going to happen. It's before he gets captured, and it's literally just he wept. It is the smallest in the entire Bible, and it's well known by most people who read the Bible because everyone in God's name who ever wants to memorize a scripture verse memorizes that one or John 3:16.
Which is
Because he wept is fantastic. It's fantastically easy. And then obviously John 3:16, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And that one's easy. That one's pretty common, or at least the name of the verse, scripture is pretty common. People know John 3:16, but not everyone knows it off the top of their head. I used to like John 3:17, which was essentially God being like, yeah, so don't fuck up, because then you'll be condemned to hell.
Hooray!
Yeah, Yeah, pretty much. It was like John 3:16, this really like sweet, verse about God being like, "I'll give up my son to save you," and then John 3:17 that was like, "Fucking behave." I love the irony in that.
Yeah.
So we had Bible class, and now remember, this is you're looking at a kid who was struggling in writing, and spelling, who now had to memorize entire scriptures, be able to read them, write them out in full with correct punctuation, and be able to tell you the philosophical meaning behind them.
What?
Yeah,
Why
that
the
was another part of our
philosophical
schooling.
No, but why?
Because it's a cult. Churches
Oh,
are
that's
cults.
the punchline. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like,
That's not a joke, though. That's real. They legitimately have kids. They would sit you down and go like, "He wept," and you think, "Oh, thank God, an easy one." And they'd go, "What's the philosophical implications of this?" And you go, "What? I don't know what that word is." Two of those words. I don't know what philosophical is. I don't know what the implications is because I'm in first grade. And they would go, "Yeah, what is the meaning behind this phrase?" And you go, "He cried." And they go, "No, it's actually talking about the grander scheme of Jesus weeping because he knows he's about to be betrayed, but also weeping for the horrible amount of pain that he's going through. Also weeping because he knows that he has to do it in order to save all of our souls. And you were expected to recite this. Not word for word, but your own variation of it."
what?
Yeah, to make sure you were listening and taking the scriptures to heart.
I mean, I understand, but this is still too hard for first grader.
Yeah!
I mean, like, this is like at this point, like memorizing. That's like more like fifth grade, if at least minimum,
Yeah.
right? Like at the lowest
Right?
level.
Right.
Ugh.
But no, that was first grade. And then in second grade, so we're back to second grade, we're back to Dr. Best. The Satan wearing an old woman suit.
Sure.
So you might be thinking, this is probably overdramatic. She couldn't have been that bad. She's a second grade teacher. Let's run down the list. 1, she hated sugar. And I don't mean like, boo, I don't eat sugar. I mean, fuck you, you can't have sugar in my class. If your parents packed you a lunch and it has something with sugar in it, I'll take it from you.
What?
And you can't eat it. Legitimately. You're having a birthday party on a school day, approved by the principal in the class. You better bring a veggie tray, because if you bring a cake, I'll dump it in front of the class. That's a real thing that happened.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
But how would someone get away with that?
This
Though? You know what I
woman-
mean? Like, someone really did that, they would like
No.
punish. I mean,
She did that all the time. Yeah, again, welcome to a community that, 1, there is a underlying rule that you should understand now before we go any further. Christians often ignore children. And I don't mean just they don't pay attention to them. I mean they will believe the word of another adult over a child any day, no matter what the context.
What?
Child tells them, child goes to another adult and says, "My mom is hitting me." Personal case. And the adult will go, "Are you sure?" You'll go, "Yes. She's been doing it for years. I'm in danger. Please help me." And they would go, "Well, let's go ask your mom."
Wait, what?
They would drag you back to your mother
Why the
and
fuck
ask
would
your
a
mother,
parent ever?
"Are you hitting them?"
Unless they're an
And
idiot.
your mother would go, "No." And then she'd beat you on the way home.
What?
That's a real thing.
See, this is why I'm
And so,
because shit ain't
right?
Like, is this
And
kind of
granted,
behavior?
Granted, not everyone had the same experience I did, but the experience I've had has made it to where, no, I don't fucking trust you sneaky, shifty-eye bastards. Like, I don't trust Christians anymore because I grew up watching a gigantic community of them not care or willfully turn a blind eye because they didn't want to get involved.
Right. What the fuck?
And to make things even worse, for instance, with Dr. Best, a lot of the time you would have kids go, Mom, she stole my fucking candy. That lollipop you gave me, she took it. And the mom would go, no, she didn't. And or they would come into this, or they would come into the class and be like, did you take my kid's lollipop? And Dr. Best would go, yeah, I did. And they'd go, why? And she'd go, well, I was worried they were going to make a mess or that they would be distracting to the rest of the class.
Wait,
so I
what?
took it.
Distracting the rest of the class?
It doesn't matter. All of her reasons were bullshit because this story gets better.
How could it get better than this? This is too much gold already. Like, really. Like,
Right?
It's kind of fucking stupid at this point. Like,
oh no, it can. And it's my favorite part of this story because it's the thing that still makes adult people who fucking learned under her go, that fucking bitch.
oh, shit.
In kindergarten. Or in second grade.
Second grade. Yeah, we're at second grade.
Mind you, my mom, we're broke, so I barely had a lunch to begin with. Now, she made a habit of taking candy out of people's lunches. I was given a sucker by my first grade teacher, Mrs. Ledlow.
Oh, so another
Just
teacher
because she was like, it's your birthday, here, have a sucker.
Why not? Sure.
And I was like, thank you. She was a very sweet teacher. I loved her.
Fine.
I went to class knowing Dr. Best would take it if she saw it. I went to class, put it in my pocket, and I thought I was fine. Sitting in class, it fell out of my pocket onto the floor. Because by the way, the entire school, by the way, was in uniform. You were uniformed from kindergarten all the way to high school graduation.
Right.
And it was khakis and a polo t-shirt. Specific ones that they made you go buy. So, I don't know if you ever worn khakis, but nothing wants to stay in your fucking khaki pants. No, in middle school,
I had uniforms. It was horrible.
Nothing wants to stay in fucking khaki pants. Everything wants to slide out your pockets.
Polos and khakis.
Fuck khakis. Right? I can't wear a polo without feeling like I'm fucking back in school. So fucking... So I, it falls out of my pocket, and I'm like, fuck. She hasn't noticed yet. If I reach down and grab it and toss it into my desk, I'll be fine. Because I'm trying to think ahead. I'm trying to outmaneuver the old bat. And so I'm like, okay, here you go. And I reach down and I grab it, and the second I look back up, she's dead-eyeing me. I'm like, fuck. And she's like, what's that, Josh? And I was like, it's a sucker. She's like, you have a sucker in my class? And I was like, I do. I got it from Mrs. Ledlow. She gave it to me because it's my birthday. She looks at me, walks over to my desk, and says, hand me the sucker. And I said, no, it's mine. She said, hand me the sucker, Josh. I was like, no, it's mine. I got it for my birthday. Now, mind you, I was already considered the bad kid because I talked back. To the point where I was separated from all the other kids in the class. So all the other kids' desks faced forward. My desk was in front of their desks, facing the teacher. Like, to the left. So, during every school lesson, I could barely see the board, which didn't help with my schooling.
Right.
And all the other kids would stare at me. So, that was the thing. So she stands in front of my desk, all of the kids in the class looking at me, and now I'm already getting bullied at school, or, at home by my abusive mom. I don't want to be fucking bullied here at school by this old bat as well.
Right.
And so I was like, no, I'm not giving you my sucker, it's mine.
Sure.
And she was like, oh, really? And she proceeded to spank me in class.
Yeah,
with the yardstick.
What the fuck?
In front of the class. And take the sucker.
Bro, that's fucked. That's too much.
So here's the part that makes everyone go, fuck that bitch. That's not the part.
At that part. What are you talking about? You don't need more. Like, that's... Yes.
So, this might seem like a petty thing, given everything else. But as a kid, this is the part that made me hate her, more than anything else.
More than all of what you just said.
Yes. She sent us all out to recess. One of the other teachers, so we had our second grade and third grade were split up into two classes. You either had Dr. Best or you had Mrs. Juno. Mrs. Juno was a sweetheart. She was the nicest woman in the world. Literally. She gave her class candy. She fucking threw birthdays with cake. She was just nice. She would let kids make up credits to pass tests. In 2nd grade, she was the sweetest woman. I mean, technically, she was probably just a regular 2nd grade teacher.
I was going to say,
but
this
for us, she
bad.
was a fucking nice human. She was the nicest human in the world.
Sure, she seems normal as hell to me, but if that makes you feel better to know she was nice, fine.
Yeah, for us, it made her the nicest woman.
I don't know.
Because we were in hell. So, Dr. Best had the same day, she had Mrs. Juno take our class out to recess. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We go out to recess. I have to pee really bad.
Okay.
So I go up to Juno, and I was like, Miss Juno, I have to go to the bathroom. She goes, okay, well, we're going to be going in about 3 minutes. Can you hold it? And I was like, no, I really fucking can't. She's like, okay, go ahead. You know the way back, right? And I was like, yeah.
Say fucking?
No. But, sorry, that's me now. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. She was like, okay, you know the way back. And I was like,
when
cool.
You said it, I was like, yeah, sorry. I knew you probably didn't, but I was thinking like, whoa.
No, I won't start swearing until about 6th grade, actually.
Yeah. That's fun. 6th grade was when I started swearing, too.
Yeah. I was actually, surprisingly enough, I was pretty decent at not swearing. Mainly because I got beat if I swore. So,
yeah, that'll do it.
It was kind of trying to avoid that was my best plan.
But,
so anyway, she was like, go ahead and head back to class. Mm-hmm. So I jogged off to class, or back to the bathroom, so we had separated buildings. It was all in one giant lot, but we had separate buildings for each one of the classes. Or the, grades. So, 1st grade was in a building, 2nd grade was in a building, up and up until you hit middle school, and then middle school and high school were in the giant building where the sanctuary was.
Right.
And so I go back to the same building that our class is in, and I go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. I come out of the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, man, I took a long time. They're probably back from recess, right?
Okay.
So I look. So all of our doors were those big metal doors where you could look in, and there was the plate, window with the cross weaving on it.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? Where it's mesh in between a window.
I think I understand. I mean, I'm not gonna know I'm never gonna really know, but
yeah,
I think I get it enough that I could figure it out.
I look, and I thought I saw someone in there. So I grab the door handle and I whip open the door because I was kind of a dramatic kid. And I was going to be like, ha-ha! And, just kind of, be a dick because I'm a kid. Mm-hmm. And I wanted attention. So I was going to pop in and be like, ha, I'm back! You all were in class and I was in the bathroom, ha-ha-ha-ha. Just be a dick. I whip open the door and see Dr. Best sitting there with my sucker in her mouth.
What? Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
She just wanted to eat it.
She legitimately, we found out, she had never been throwing away, except for when she would throw the cake away in front of us. Every other time, she was actually keeping the fucking candy and eating it herself.
Nah, that's too far. Nah, fucking kill her.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you fucking... Because I get fucking livid. I'm like, this woman is stealing my candy and just ate my birthday sucker in front of me.
Yeah.
So I run out and I go to Mrs. Juno and I'm like, hey, Mrs. Juno, I just saw Dr. Best eating my sucker.
Mm.
And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, my birthday sucker. She took it from me, swatted me in front of the class, and then she's eating it. Ugh. And Mrs. Juno gets pissed.
Yeah,
again, very sweet teacher. She's like, okay, no. Everybody, we're going back in. And so I'm like, this is it. I got her.
Sure.
It's over. It's game time.
Oh,
this bitch is going
Josh,
down.
I'm sorry. I need a quick opinion. Do you think that... can you look at my stream real quick?
Yeah.
Do you mind? Tell me when you see it.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious. So I made these sniper rifle guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should their capes be black or silver?
I would think black because they're because they've got the cloak ability, right?
Yeah, they're they go because in the picture itself, they're it's supposed to be gray, with black and white plastered like in dots.
Oh yeah, like a camo.
But I'm not good enough to do that. To be completely frank, I'm just gonna make it one color. So is black.
I would say
or-
black.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking probably black, but because I also brought in a reference guy, so you see what my color
Yeah,
scheme
fair
is.
enough.
He's black and.
Yeah, I
that's
think
all
it
he-
would look better with like the back being black and then keeping the rest of it red.
Oh yeah, the rest of it's gonna be red, and then there's some like
Yeah.
the like stormtrooper armor, how like the joints are black, and
Yeah.
because the Space Marines are essentially stormtroopers.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how they're designed, essentially, like what they're based
Yeah.
on. So, yeah.
No, I know what you mean.
Anyway, yeah, you can continue. Yeah, I'm gonna start.
Yeah. So fucking, if my brain would like to reboot, hold on, it's getting there. So Mrs. Juno, she comes, she's coming back to class with us. She grabs everyone, has us form a line, walks back to class, and she walks in, and she talks to Miss, she walks at first in Dr. Beth's class, and she's like, everyone go take your seats. She sends her class to, to their actual class, and it's like, go take your seats in the classroom. She's like, Dr. Beth, I would like to talk to you in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is it,
Well, yeah,
it's finally she's gonna get her comeuppance. They go to the hallway, and we can all hear them. We can all hear them. We can hear Miss Juno like yelling at her and being like,
"Oh fuck!"
He said you took his fucking sucker, and it's his birthday, and you can't be just taking kids' shit. That's not. And she was swearing, by the way.
Oh wow!
Like she was very loudly swearing. She was very angry. And we can hear Dr. Bess being like, you will not talk to me this way. And she's like, are you kidding me? Like, you're fucking traumatizing these kids, and then you're going to be a dick about it and eat their... No, like, this is not okay. I'm going to go talk to the principal. And she's like, okay, do it.
Okay.
So Mrs. Juno's like,
Weird
fine.
response,
So
but
Mrs. Juno goes and gets the principal. Now...
Okay.
This is where this unfortunately takes a very bad turn. You see, in kindergarten, our principal was a very sweet lady called Mrs. Carranza.
Okay. Oh, so
Very
she was a
sweet
good
woman.
person.
Hispanic woman. Yes, she was a very loving woman. In kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
In first grade, we were taken over by the vice principal, Mrs. Ortega.
Another.
Mrs. Ortega is a fucking bastard.
Oh.
This woman literally had said on multiple occasions how much she hates kids.
Then why is she a principal?
And they made her principal.
Why?
Because the church and the school were one. And she had high standing in the church.
Oh, Lord.
So because she had high standing in the church, she essentially negotiated her way into being the principal. And then while being the principal, had said multiple times after becoming the principal that she hated fucking kids. That they were messy, they were loud, and they were rude.
Then what is
And mind you, you would think, like, okay, why are you an elementary teacher then, right? No, she hated high school and junior high kids too. She essentially just hated youth. She's a recurring character, by the way.
So
we'll get back to her.
She's a recurring character? What the fuck?
Yeah, you would think like this bitch would wear out at some point. We never hear from her again. No, unfortunately, she comes back.
Man, you're fine.
Right. So, literally, Mrs. Ortega, Miss Juno goes to her and is like, hey, this is what Dr. Best is doing. And Mrs. Ortega goes, oh, really? Okay, well, we'll go talk to her then.
No.
They come back.
No, just like your fucking
They come
mom.
in the office.
Fuck.
Yeah. They come back to the office, or they come back to the classroom. They stand in our classroom. Miss Ortega has the kids from the other class come into the classroom and goes, okay, kids, pay attention. Miss Juno says that one of you said that Dr. Bess is stealing your candy and eating it. Who was it? Now, again, I'm facing the rest of the class. I'm in my chair that faces... So the entire class shifts their head to the right.
Fuck.
And I'm like, you sons of bitches. Fuck. So I stand up and I'm like, it was me. And she's like, of course it was. Well, Josh, what should we do about this? And I was like, she should stop being allowed to take candy. And she's like, no, Josh, about you lying.
Wait, what?
And I was like, what? And she's like, you expect me to believe that Dr. Best, this teacher who has been teaching for 40 years, ate your candy? If you don't like your teacher, that's one thing, Josh. But to lie about such a sweet old lady. And I'm just like, oh! Oh, this bitch! Sorry, I woke up my daughter.
Fuck.
Yelling. Yeah, I was like,
Dumbass.
oh
Wake up your
no!
daughter.
Like, I'm so mad. And I'm like, oh no, like, what do I say? Like, what do I
Yeah,
do?
what
Like,
do
you
you
know,
say,
like,
actually? That sounds horrible.
my principal just told me I'm the liar when I just caught my teacher being a liar, and the other teacher believed me.
Oh boy.
And she's like, so what are we going to do, Josh? And I was like, I'm not lying. And she's like, what are we going to do, Josh? And I was like, I'm not lying.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay. Then I guess that means, Miss Juno, you're lying?
Son of a bitch. What?
And I'm like, oh no. And Miss Juno was like, excuse me? And she's like, well, Josh insists that he's not lying. And if he's not lying, then that means you lied to us saying that Josh came to you.
Wait. But that's not what you meant when you said you weren't lying.
Yeah. So then she's like, so which is it? Are you lying, Miss Juno? Or are you lying, Josh? Now I'm scared for Miss Juno, like fucking Miss Ortega's gonna fire her,
Mm-hmm.
who is the only teacher up until this point who has done something.
Ugh.
So I immediately go, I'm lying.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because
You
I'm
actually
panicked.
said you were lying, though? That's bullshit.
Yeah, I said I was lying.
Kid. Yeah,
because
I'm just
I'm
surprised.
panicked and I don't want that teacher to lose her job.
Sure.
And Miss Ortega goes, that's what I thought. Miss Juno's like, no, this is unacceptable.
Right.
Like, he's
As she
not
should
lying.
say,
You're,
right.
you know, yeah, she's like, Dr. Best is the one lying. You can't be serious. And she's like, Miss Juno, we will discuss your issue with Dr. Best privately.
Oh, now they're doing it privately?
However, Josh, you're going to the office and you're suspended. And we'll be calling your mother.
What?
And I'm like, okay.
Not that suspension is really the worst punishment at this point, but...
Oh, it is. Because let me explain how suspensions work in CFC. Or CFS, because it's a school.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
So a suspension works
Send you home?
if... No. A suspension is you get a suspension which tells the pastors and the leaders that you are out of line. You are misbehaving. And that you must be corrected. Now, do you know how Christians correct youth?
Beat him. I guess.
With the rod of corruption.
The rod of corruption. What
AKA
kind of fucking
a fucking paddle.
No. Oh, okay. I was about to say, what?
Yeah. So literally, I don't think it's called the rod of corruption. I think it's the rod will drive away the corruption, but I always heard rod of corruption as a kid.
Whatever. You're a kid. I don't remember shit.
Because essentially they'll quote this to you every time they spank your butt. They say that the rod will drive away the corruption in a child. So they beat you with a fucking mallet.
I mean, that's not how that works, but okay.
Yeah. So that's the fun part. So a suspension means you automatically have to take a paddling, and then you're out of school for a day.
Okay.
Now remember that this means, in my case, that they're going to call my mom, have my mom come swat me in front of the principal.
Okay.
Which, by the way, it was swatted to the principal's standards.
What?
Now, what I mean by that is the principal would stand in the room as your parent swatted your butt.
Okay.
And if the principal felt you did not hit your kid hard enough, she would take the paddle and hit your kid for you.
Oh, that's fucking unacceptable. I mean, I beat the shit out of anyone who, touches my kid.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And she could increase the amount of swats she felt was necessary. So if you swatted your kid once really lightly, or even if you swatted them once really hard, and she felt it wasn't enough, she could increase the amount she wanted you to swat your kid.
Dude, that's just
Meaning
wrong.
you could have a suspension that could go up to 20 swats. It was a commonplace thing that kids would leave the office, 1 in tears, and 2 with an ice pack on their ass to prevent swelling.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, this was in a darker time, too. I mean, we don't do that now, but
This is the 2000s.
fuck.
Yeah. Well, like this is the fucking 2000s.
I don't know. You always say you're old.
I am old, but unfortunately, that's due to my soul and the things I've been through, not my physical body.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's old too, but it's because it's beaten to shit.
Sure.
You guys can come sit down.
So that happens. I get suspended, and I know what's coming.
Right.
Because 1, I've got an abusive parent, and 2, I've got an abusive principal, and I'm about to be stuck in a room with both of them.
Alcindor, come sit down.
And
As well as
they're gonna be
sent home for a day to that woman who's an abusive parent.
Alcindor, Kieran can come in.
Yeah. So sure enough, I go to the office, and
then they paddle
what's
you.
wrong, brother?
He's keeping Kieran.
Huh?
He's trying to keep Kieran out. And I'm
No,
trying to
Bubba, go play.
No, they just woke
You want to grab those? Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. You're not going to want to hear the case opening.
Yeah, it's fine. All right, guys. We're just gonna keep painting. I don't know what they're doing, so I'm trying to paint things based on the pictures. But in hindsight, I think I fucked up the model because this is my first time painting scouts. Okay, in all fairness. But I'm thinking maybe the gloves could be black, or maybe the pants. I'm not sure. Because usually the squishy part's supposed to be the color part, but generally scouts are okay. So generally scouts are white. I don't have white, and I want to paint them, so I'm going with black. Maybe I'll just stick for this for now. Do them all like this, and then come back and see if that looks good. Because I can always paint over it. I mean, that's how layers work. So you guys can see him looking good. You know, looks like a fairly good scout trooper for now. And I'm going based on the designs here on my tactical marine, and now we can get into. I'm going to work on the sergeant because he's a pretty good reference point for all this kind of stuff, in my eyes. So we're going to go ahead and just paint over his cape. It's all black and stuff. It makes it not that noticeable for any, like, you know, any damage, essentially, like with paint or something. Because black... Actually, you know what? We got it working, right? Let's play some Lord of the Rings music while we wait. Because that was working, right? Yeah. We just play some music. Get copyright stricken. Who cares? We don't make money, so why should YouTube? We're just going to keep painting. I'm trying to paint it on camera as much as I can, but I got to lean in and look at things, and I don't really want to shove my face in front of the camera, you know, really up close. So I'm trying to... I lift it up to my face.
Oh, yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was opening a package of cookies, and I didn't think you wanted to hear the wrapping go.
No, probably not.
I like how you say that and then make the noise of it. But yeah, so I go, and sure enough, you know, we get in the
Then
room.
change your spot.
Oh, no, you're okay. I'm going there. I'll move forward so you can see.
Don't get out of the sun.
So we go to the office, and sure enough, you know, get my butt spanked. And my mom, you know, fucking rails back and hits as hard as she can. And I'm immediately in tears. It hurt like hell.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn it, okay. Like, at least it's done, right?
Right.
At
You're already
least
crying, yeah.
it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Ortega looks at me and goes, I don't think that's enough. And I'm just like, so I don't feel that that's enough, Josh, for you to really learn your lesson about lying about a teacher. And I'm mad, and now I'm crying. So I turn around and I go, I wasn't lying. That's the worst thing you can say.
Mhm.
Because with that, Mr. Ortega goes, 10 spankings. And my mom goes, yeah, Josh, don't lie about teachers.
Son of a bitch! What?
Yep.
Wow, you have a shit mom.
And so suddenly, I take 10 more of those full drawbacks in swats.
Bro, that's
With
just a
no shit, a ping pong paddle that they had ripped the felt off of.
Wait, what?
Yep, they took a ping pong paddle, ripped the felt off of it, and that was their swatter for a while.
But that makes it wood. I mean, you're just beating someone with wood at that point.
Yep.
Man,
Yep.
we are gonna go on a nice revenge montage later.
Right.
It's gonna be great.
So, I take 10 swats. I'm hysterical. You know,
Sure.
I'm crying my eyes out. I hurt so bad I can barely stand.
Sure.
And my mom is standing there, completely emotionless. Miss Ortega is standing there with a smile on her face.
What the fuck?
And she goes, have you learned your lesson? And I'm, struggling to breathe. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so you're not going to lie anymore? I was like, yeah. Just accepting at this point. I'm done. I'm done fighting.
Well, yeah, you say anything at that point.
I've lost.
Right.
And so she's like, okay, you're suspended for a day. You have to stay with your mom. And my mom looks at Mr. Ortega and goes, well, he doesn't have anywhere he can be because there's no one at home. Can he have an in-school detention?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ortega goes, sure. He can sit right outside my office. So the next day, I spent from 8 a.m. or from 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
to 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
because my mom worked late outside of Mrs. Ortega's office.
Mm-hmm.
With any time I dared to look up from my work, even when I had finished my work from the previous day, my homework, and that day's work, getting yelled at, getting screamed at, getting told I was worthless, that I was stupid, just being berated for an entire day.
Ugh.
And then I got transferred, thank God, to Miss Juno's class.
Woohoo.
And this was only because the principal of the high school at the time, Mr. Davis,
Mm-hmm.
No relation to a future Mr. Davis in our story, he saw how I was being treated, got fed up with it, went to Casey, and essentially went, if this doesn't fucking stop, I will beat that woman to death for the way she's treating that boy.
Woo.
And Casey was like, that seems a bit, and he's like, no, this is unacceptable. You need to get her in line, because that woman should not be anywhere near children.
Woo. Good job, Mr.
And-
Davis.
Very nice man. And so essentially, Casey went to Miss Ortega, and Miss Ortega's like, oh, what?
Mm-hmm.
I am nothing but sweet and kind to the kids. And Casey's like, well, apparently some other people in the school don't agree with that. And he didn't name Mr. Davis,
Probably
which is
smart.
probably a smart thing.
Yeah.
Instead, unfortunately, because he didn't name anyone, Miss Ortega would later... Casey essentially was like, we're going to transfer him from Dr. Best's class, where apparently he's been struggling, to Miss Juno's class, where we feel he will do better.
Okay.
And so I was transferred to Miss Juno's class, and unfortunately, because he didn't name names, Miss Ortega later fired the receptionist at the time, believing that she was the one who had told Pastor Casey.
Wow.
And she had been working there for about 6 years at that point.
What the fuck?
So, yeah, very unfortunate. She was a very nice lady. So, yeah, I got transferred to Miss Juno's class, and everything was pretty much sunshines and rainbow. I'm joking, of course. It was better, but I started failing horribly in school.
That's not good, dude.
Because, obviously, I wasn't associating very well with school.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't exactly a great place for me to be.
Right.
I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated most people there. And now that I was in this class that was better, I was desperately trying to leave it, just because I didn't want to be in school. But luckily, thanks to Miss Juno's help, I did pass into the 3rd grade.
Woohoo!
Because honestly, I would have failed the 2nd grade
Well,
if she had not helped. Yeah. So 3rd grade is where things get interesting.
Okay.
Right? Things aren't interesting yet.
Jesus.
Yeah. This is where shit gets fun. So 3rd grade happens. In 3rd grade, I am assigned to Mrs. Sokolov's class. That is not a joke. That is her real name.
Okay.
She is Ukrainian. A very sweet lady. She, in fact, was one of my friends, Igor Sokolov, his mom.
Oh.
Now, from another story I've told you, you may have put this together, but if you haven't, you will later. You see, I did really well in Mrs. Sokolov's class. I actually paid attention really well. My grades were going up. I did, at one point, cheat and tell the entire class how to spell beautiful by using Bruce Almighty. I was trying to be sly and being like, if you don't remember how to spell beautiful, remember it's beautiful. And then I ironically spelled it wrong because I put 2 L's. So I cheated for the rest of the class and got it wrong, which is fucking hilarious.
That should be in a movie.
Yeah. So it was very fun. I liked 3rd grade. It was going really well. I had a teacher who I knew and was very nice. She was strict, but she was nice. And I was good friends with her son, Igor.
Cool.
Unfortunately, during this time, in class wasn't really my issue. It was actually interacting with other kids that was becoming the issue.
Oh, okay.
I was having large spikes of aggression. Just kind of out of nowhere. Not really out of nowhere, knowing that my mom was abusing me at home.
Right.
And this is kind of when her abuse towards me and my sister was hitting some of its apex for a while.
Sure.
But it was really affecting me very poorly. To the point where a bully that I had grown up with, who I've negated to mention up until now, because this is really when his story becomes a real thing. Liam McGinnis.
Okay.
Yes, I still remember his name. I also remember his older brother, Patrick.
Hey, I remember my first bully's name from preschool.
Yeah, I actually went to school with Liam from kindergarten. And from kindergarten, he was a bully. He used to bully the girls. Just in a very generic, girls are disgusting and whatever, but then he took it a little bit further and he would actually rob them. He was known for on multiple occasions. Yeah, he was known on multiple occasions to take girls' necklaces, their wristbands, their rings or earrings, because remember, most kids that went to the school were rich. He, however, was not. He was, him and his brother were both being paid in from their grandfather, who was well off. Their mom, however, was a very nice lady, but was also broke, and unfortunately was not a very wise woman in her choice of men. So a lot of the men she would bring home would be abusive or not okay to Liam and Patrick.
Yeah. Okay.
So they weren't taking it well either.
Yeah.
So I grew up with them kind of as my bullies, and I was just kind of, it was a common occurrence. And in fact, I had become so used to them in my life, specifically Liam, that I actually thought of him as a weird friend.
What?
Kind of like faded rivals who also enjoy each other's company.
Sure, it wasn't Stockholm Syndrome.
He was evil and a dick, but I also was going through things, and I kind of understood that he also was going through things. And there was one day where we were on the playground, and he was beating the shit out of me. He had caught me unaware, he had hit me in the head, and then continued to hit me. Okay. And one of the teachers found us, and I think it was one of the teachers that liked Miss Ortega, or Miss Ortega liked her, and so they sent us to the office. We got to the office, and I immediately said it was my fault.
Wow.
Because I knew how Mrs. Ortega was. I knew that if she thought it was Liam's fault, Liam could potentially go home to whatever guy his mom was with and get beat by that guy for getting in trouble at school.
Oh boy.
And I didn't want that for him, even if I knew the same thing was going to happen to me by my mom.
So you took one for the team, I guess.
I tried, but unfortunately, Miss Ortega called bullshit.
Wow.
Miss Ortega saw right through what I was saying and was like, no, this has Liam written all over it. Josh, you go back to class. And I broke down crying. Legitimately, I walked back to class and couldn't make it into class. I broke down crying in the hallway, fearing for what would happen to Liam.
Wow.
And Mrs. Sokoloff actually came out, and because she heard me crying in the hallway.
Right.
Because I was weeping. Like, I was not I was weeping, tears of sorrow, because and Miss yeah, and Mrs. Sokoloff came out and saw me. She's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Liam might get expelled, and I don't know what's going to happen to him if he does." And it was at that point that Mrs. Sokoloff kind of realized what I was saying,
right?
Because she was not very steeped. Like, she was in the church, but she wasn't oblivious to things. They were pretty fresh off the boat.
Gotcha.
And so she was well enough aware to be like, oh, he'll be in physical trouble if something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So Mrs. Sokoloff runs off to the office as fast as she can and essentially convinced Mrs. Ortega to waive the punishment. So Liam got away with no punishment, which took a lot from Mrs. Sokoloff convincing Mrs. Ortega to do.
That would take a lot of work.
Yeah. I'm still not sure how she did it, but she did it. And Liam came back, and I gave him a hug, and I was still bawling, and he cried with me because it was kind of at that moment that we realized we were both in the same boat.
Aw, lifelong friends.
Yeah. And then later that year, not even very long, a few months later, was when my abuse at home was really picking up. And had gotten to the point where I was snapping and blacking out at school, or having dissociative episodes where I would literally, it was essentially like I lost control of myself. I would just suddenly, I couldn't tell myself what to do, and I'd be yelling, screaming, or hitting someone without any connection.
Weird. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, new to me, dude. I don't know.
And so... Yeah, and so unfortunately, this hit its peak when I was walking back to class, and Igor Sokolov was walking to recess to come get me because I had been hiding at recess, and I realized I was late on my way back to class. He came, saw me, and was like, "Hey, man, we were waiting for you.
Oh boy.
Are you okay?" And I suddenly had an episode of completely separating myself. I grabbed him by the neck, pinned him against the wall, and began to punch his face until I couldn't stop.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Again, I wasn't angry. I was, but not in the normal sense. I wasn't like, I'm mad at you, Igor. It was just suddenly I couldn't control my body.
Dude, that's screwed up. That sucks.
And so, and then I was hitting him, and then suddenly I snapped out of it and could control myself, and I ran. Because I was like, I don't know how to explain what just happened to anyone who asks. And, I just hit one of my friends. A lot.
Sure.
And I went into class, and his mom is sitting there at the desk and sees me, and sees that I have blood on my hands because I broke his nose.
Fuck.
And she sees that I have blood on my hands and goes, "Where's Igor?" And I was like, "He's outside. We got in a fight." And she jumps up, runs right past me to go check on her son.
Right.
And I was still kind of in shock. And one of the kids in the class looks at me and goes, "Did you win?"
What the fuck?
And me being a shitty kid and just kind of having a dissociative episode, I was just like, yeah, I won. I kicked his ass. Didn't even punch back. And, like, I just was really fucked. Like, I knew something was wrong.
That's fucked, dude.
And his mom came back in, and she was furious. Rightfully so.
I mean,
beat
yeah,
the shit out
if
of
you
the
beat
kid.
up a
I
kid,
would have
yeah.
been furious. She came back in. She was so angry. She looked at me and she said, Josh, I could punch you right now. I could beat you because you laid a hand on my son. But Igor told me not to. Igor, who I had just beat the shit out of, looked at his mom and said it wasn't my fault. That there was clearly something wrong.
Wow.
He is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met because he is still like that to this day.
Wow. I was gonna say,
He
what a
still
fucking
holds
trooper.
nothing
Yeah,
against
that's
me.
great.
He clearly recognized that something wasn't okay with me and that I was acting out of character and just completely let it go. Now, unfortunately, that's not where that ends. I mean, fortunately for Igor, I never touched him again. He was the nicest guy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this incident got its way to Mrs. Ortega.
Again?
And of course, Mrs. Oh, yeah. She remained the elementary principal until I was, actually, I think until 5 years after I got out of school. Like, she was, yeah. She unfortunately did not lose her job for a very long time. And even when she lost her job, she didn't lose her job. She just, like, retired.
Ugh.
Yeah, she's a horrible woman. So she fucking, she hears about it and she brings my mom in to the office and is like, hey, your fucking kid's crazy. And he's acting crazy and he assaulted another student and he needs to go see this very specific psychiatrist who works partially for the church.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna say,
I was
they're
just-
probably connected to the church somehow.
Yeah, essentially what this person would do is they had gotten their degree in psychology
Mm-hmm.
and then threw that whole thing out the window and would go on Bible teachings,
What?
but would use the doctorate as an excuse to do so.
My God.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. So they scheduled me with this woman, and this woman obviously has a very large role to play in my psychosis. Because this is the woman that told me, hey, you know that anger you have? Name it. Talk to it. Have it be a part of you. And then later would lead to the split personality.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. No, you want to know my first impression of this woman?
What?
Literally, I go into an office with her. I go into the office with her, and we talk, and she asked me about my dad and asked me about my home life, which I was kind of iffy about telling her anything at all. And I told her that my mom was very aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
and that my dad worked off state, and I didn't really care either way. And somehow, mind you, that first session is where she tells me that I should name my anger and talk to it and all this. And then immediately after leaving this session, we walk outside. My mom is waiting, and she walks up to my mom and begins telling my mom everything I said in the session.
What?
Yeah.
That's not how.
And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm telling your mom. And I was like, no, I'm not okay with that. And my mom goes, anything you can tell her, you can tell me. And I was like, no, I fucking can't. Like, and this is actually me swearing. I was not okay. I knew I was fucked if my mom heard some of the things I had said. And so this woman is like, no, I'm sure it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's really not. And my mom's like, it's okay. And I'm like, well, this is it. Sure enough, she just tells my mom everything. She tells my mom my fear of my mom. She tells her that my anger's been going out of control. But she tells my mom that it's not to worry, that it's probably not her. It's probably the absence of a male role model in my life.
I mean,
That is
not
what's
it.
causing me to be aggressive
probably
and
not correct.
assault. Yeah, no, it's probably not a man missing in my life that made me fucking lose my shit and think it's okay to attack someone while being abused at home.
Yeah, I think probably the abuse at
Like,
home would be the
yeah.
main.
I feel like there might be another thing adding to this. Just a bit.
Right.
So, essentially, my mom now decides that it is her mandate in life to find a male role model for me.
No.
Yep. Not mind you, not like a dude that she's dating, just any random fucking guy she runs into in the church. That guy's a male role model. Did someone just follow me on fucking Discord?
Wait.
Or on stream?
No way. Really?
I just heard one of my sound effects go off.
Check. It's in your notifications if it happened.
I have a viewer.
I have 2 viewers, yeah.
Huh. I don't know.
Are you watching?
I'm sorry if I missed something. Yes, but I have yours muted.
Right, okay, yeah. Someone popped in at one point and then they just left because you were talking about being beaten up as a child.
Oh!
So,
Yeah, first_try has followed. Thank you.
yeah, that's
Thank
good.
you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome. You're at an interesting point in the story.
Mhm.
But yeah, so essentially
It doesn't get better.
that happened. It doesn't. It never gets better. I mean, not for like 20 years.
Till now, I guess.
Yeah, so 20 years. So yeah, so then, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so then the psychosis kicks in. I start having my split personality. Things are not going well. My mom is even more so abusive at home, but all the while she's putting out this outward appearance that she is the nicest, sweetest woman to the world. Legitimately, this is when me and my sister constantly tried to tell other adults and would have them only rat on us back to our mom, which would in turn make things even worse. Two of the most vivid images I have, or memories I have of being abused in my entire life, is one that happened to me and one that happened to my sister. One is, I remember getting in an argument with my mom in the upstairs apartment of Stonehaven and being in the hallway, and my mom getting mad, grabbing me by the neck, lifting me, pinning me against the wall, and screaming at me while choking me.
Yeah.
And continuing to yell at me to the point where I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see she was still yelling at me.
Yikes. Dude, that's fucking awful.
And then her tossing me to the ground and running off to yell at my sister.
What?
The other time is I'd gone to the beach and gotten a large stick that had a sharp pointy end that I had sharpened. I literally was making myself a spear to protect myself.
Wow.
And I was in my room, and my sister had a really bad day at school. Essentially, there was a boy she liked, and it had gotten out that she liked the boy, and the teachers had made way too big of a thing of it. The teachers, essentially, mind you, my sister at this point was in 6th grade, so this is literally during my third grade year. We haven't missed anything yet.
Right.
This is all still in my 3rd grade.
Which is
Okay. Yeah. So my sister liked another boy. She's in 6th grade, and the teachers heard about it, and the teachers started claiming that my sister was fucking that boy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the teachers started saying that my sister, who had been found out for liking this boy, was actually sleeping with him and had been going around being a slut in the entire school and had slept with multiple boys.
Wait, what? That's a big
This is what the teachers were saying.
Why the first off, you're not supposed to comment on that shit. Second, why?
Right? Yeah. Again, welcome to the insanity and just disgusting behavior of these people. And so, yeah. So that happened, and I had heard about it at school. And then word got to my mom.
Oh boy.
Now, I'm scared. My sister's scared. We both know that on our way home, it's going to be tense.
Yeah.
And if we make it home, it's going to be worse. So we're panicked. We get in the car. My mom says nothing.
Oh.
We drive home. My mom says nothing. We get in the house. Nothing.
Really?
And she goes, Josh, go to your room. And I'm panicked because I know what's about to happen. So I go to my room and I grab that stick. I flip it around so that the pointy side is facing, and I literally backed my back against the wall and aimed the stick at the door, that if my mom came through that door, I was going to stab her.
Fuck.
That was my entire plan.
Shit.
Because I knew what was going to happen. I knew if my mom started on my sister, if she opened my door, she was coming for me.
Ugh.
And I'm panicked, backed into the wall, with a stick pointing at my door, and I can hear my mom go into my sister's room, and I can hear her start throwing her around.
Ugh.
I can hear her hitting her, I can hear her picking her up and throwing her into the walls, I can hear her hitting her head on her dresser. I can hear it through the walls. And I'm panicked, shaking with this fucking stick. And I'm all the way backed up into the corner next to my bed at this point. And I'm as scared as I possibly can be. And my mom stops, because I'm crying in my room.
Right.
Because I can hear my sister. And my mom stops, and suddenly I realize she can hear me.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
And my mom goes, Josh, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. Turns corner, opens the door, swings it open, and I don't have the strength to move forward.
Oh
She
my
walks
God.
up, sees the stick, snaps it in half, and begins to beat the shit out of me.
Wait, what? Fuck. Well, dude,
I didn't
this
have
is
the
getting-
strength to defend myself.
Okay, dude. Straight
So-
up, this is getting way sad as fuck. Like, you're making
Welcome
me
to my
sad.
life.
Well, it's on a fucking stream. Like, I'm thinking, like, man, this is getting like a bit.
It turns
bit
around,
much.
don't worry about it.
Fuck.
Well, yeah.
Well, I want to put this on YouTube.
Welcome.
I just painted 5 scouts. I just finished. I'm gonna put this on YouTube, dude.
Do you want a light story to offset this for now?
Don't fucking lie and shit. I mean, I know you're gonna be lying if you fucking try and sugarcoat it.
There are some. I had good days. They just never happened with my mom.
Yeah.
I
mean, yeah. I mean, check it out. Like, I finished the scouts, right? So I'm gonna move the camera
Yeah.
so y'all can
Yeah, let me
see he's not a
pull
scout.
up your stream.
And the light is not good, I admit. Actually,
I'm a little delayed, so the camera's still trying to focus.
let me see if I can light these guys up a bit better. There we go.
Oh,
Because I finished them, mostly. I finished
nice.
mine. But yeah,
No, they look good.
it only took 2 hours.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. So
Sorry, everyone who watched that 2 hours of sorrow and
yeah, because I was gonna say I'm gonna cut the stream because I finished a section, like because I pretty much showed up. You can build 5 scouts in 2 hours. That's how long
Yeah.
it takes, realistically.
You can listen to my third grade trauma in 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have to pick up my wife from work pretty soon here, so
Yeah, fair
kind of
enough.
a good stopping point for the stream. I'm happy to keep talking to you for a little bit, but in terms of purposes of the stream, I think I'm going to cut it here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry to that one guy who hopped into stream and then left because he was at the part where you were talking about getting beaten up. That probably wasn't
Yeah, fair.
time to come in. I think I've probably heard
Bye, everyone.
my stream quality from these stories, probably. But
I don't think so. I think you'll be fine.
we'll see. But if people don't like this video, I'm gonna put some
That's
music.
fine.
I'm gonna
If-
mute it and put some music over it.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't like this video, if you happen to see it at any point and you're feeling uncomfortable, and you made it to this part of the video,
Right, the end.
know that I am okay now.
Right. Yeah, that's
That
fine.
all of these things happened, but I am okay now. I have since then, sought help and recovered. So, I am okay now. Do not worry.
Yeah, it's all good. Really, it's all good.
Like,
It's fine. That's why we can laugh about it, because this isn't funny,
yeah,
for the record.
yeah.
Like, it's
I
fucking
I
funny.
literally can laugh because I'm okay now.
Yeah.
Because obviously, yeah, it wasn't great at the time, but also things have such been dealt with.
And yeah, so this was painting during the apocalypse.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great name for it, actually.
Yeah. Well,
Because during the Corona and everything, that's brilliant.
yeah, because
I
that's
like
what I was
that.
going to do for my next series is 40K in the apocalypse.
I was gonna say, is it the apocalypse because of my stories?
Well, that too. That helps, I suppose.
But I mean, it fits with the settings.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna cut the stream. I hope you all enjoyed.
Bye, everybody.
I'm Elwirfy. You're hanging out with me and JJ Starter. Go check out my YouTube channel, and you can watch his stream as well. Links
I
will
am
be in the
still live,
description
so if
below.
you're watching Elwirfy, go ahead and swing over.